Today I'm joined by Katheryn Huff, our content director, as well as Jason Lucarelli, one of our SEO experts and copywriters here at Square 2. Before we get started, I wanted to talk about a little housekeeping items. If you notice you're muted upon entry, please keep yourself muted so that we can focus on the presenters today. And if you have a question, you can always click on the chat bubble at the top and ask us any question you have along the way, and we'll be sure to answer that. We will be recording this webinar today, so if you'd like a recording at the end, we're happy to send that to you. So that's about it. We're ready to get started, and I will turn it over to our presenters.
Thanks, Lauren. We're thrilled to have a great turnout today. We're really excited to talk to you guys about content creation. We have a lot of great insights we want to share with you. So if you have any questions, please. We'd love to make this just a really great conversation. So feel free to just text us or enter anything into the chat window, and we'll answer questions as we go. Okay, just a quick bio. Background here, I've worked with Square 2 Marketing as a content director. I have 14 years of experience as a writer and editor. Background is in newspapers, transitioned over to inbound marketing about 3 years ago, and just really love the environment of innovation and creativity that we have. And I really love working with companies. I've done a lot of work with technology companies. They're probably my favorite, but I like that every day I get to learn something new. Jason?
Myself, my name is Jason. I got started as a copywriter for a mobility products provider, switched over to websites for the automotive industry. I get my passion for language from fiction. I have my MFA, and I get my passion for copywriting through SEO and helping businesses achieve better visibility and get more leads.
Oh, great. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to kick us off today. I'm going to really talk to you about the history of content here at Square 2 and all the lessons we've learned through our client work, and then I'm going to hand it off to Jason, and he's going to really talk to you about optimizing and really getting more value from your content. So let's get started. The first piece here is we like to call it better, faster, stronger, and it's all about the value you want to get from your content. So really, we know in inbound marketing that content is such a key driver of leads. And we know that we have to have content. You really can't not have content. And it's kind of solving this puzzle. You have to have content, but it's really time intensive and it's expensive to create. So how do you do that? And for us, it really comes down to better content, not necessarily more content. I know it seems like, oh, I've got more content, that'll get more leads, and that's not always the answer. So let me tell you how we really approach it here at Square 2. So at Square 2, each month we create 180 blogs, 45 tip sheets, white papers, and ebooks, 60 emails, and 4 full websites. So you can see that is a lot of content. And we have a great team here at Square 2. We have 9 writers and 3 editors and myself in the content department. But even with that robust staff, we still, are working full-time to get everything accomplished. So about 8 months ago, we were thinking about this, and we were creating all this content, and it was really a question for us of, okay, we're doing all this content, we're generating leads, but, could we optimize it? We're, always looking for ways to generate more leads for our clients, and it was really a question of, okay, we're doing okay, but we could be doing better. So we wanted to move from the idea of producing content and really being focused on just generating content for content's sake to really being focused on delivering more leads. So we came up with this idea for what we call the hub and spoke content strategy, and it's really this idea about bringing everything into alignment. Instead of just kind of creating content, and it could be great content, but sort of these little islands of content, more about bringing everything together, having it work together. We really believe very strongly in strategy before tactics here. So we wanted to really drive that down to the most, tactical, detail level for our content. So as part of our engagements, we always start out and we do a lot of strategic work. We identify personas and pain points, and Jason's going to talk to you more about that in a minute. But we really wanted to take advantage of all this work. So what we do with our content strategy is we really think about, keep everything prospect focused. So what is the, who are we trying to reach what persona are we speaking to, and what is their really key pain point that we want to address. We tend to address this in quarters, so it's a very scalable process. You could do one every month, you could do one for a whole year. It's really kind of depending on how granular you want to get, but typically we do a quarter, so 3 months at a time. So we pick a persona we want to focus on, and we pick one of their main pain points. And from there we do another level of keyword research. Now, you've done your foundational keyword research, you have a good base of keywords that you're going to build on, but this is really a chance to get very niche and very focused. So with that pain point in mind, that theme that you're going to write all your content on, another level of keyword research, determining your target keywords, 3 to 5, sometimes 10, depending on how deep you want to go. Then from there, you're going to go and look at kind of the center of the hub and spoke, long-form content. So a white paper, an ebook, basically a longer piece of content that is starting to speak to this main pain. And from there, you can see if you start going around the circle, if you start, you're going to pull blogs. So then from that long-form piece of content, we're going to pull blogs, and they're all going to be aligned there. We're also going to write standalone blogs, so additional blogs on related topics to this main pain point. And then all the content we create is going to be aligned to that. So videos, if you have videos in your program or that's a particular strength of your client, quick, 1, 2, 3 minutes, talking about this pain point, maybe explaining part of it. Really, you can be just as creative with your videos as you can with your written word. Then emails. So if you do monthly educational emails, like we do, reaching out and having all those topics align with a larger topic. If you work around the circle, I'm going to skip influencer content for just a moment. Looking at assessments and webinars, kind of your middle of the funnel or your low risk offers. Taking that, taking them through the funnel, but making sure that everything is still aligned. So you can see everything here. The whole idea is alignment. Influencer content is related, looking for experts in the field and really bringing their expertise in, sharing that, making connections and relationship building, which Jason will talk about more in a moment. And then additionally, the last kind of outer ring, the small bubbles, are all around social posting. Of course, you can't forget social media. That's a huge part of socializing and getting value from your content. Posting not only the blogs, but also thinking about how do we engage and build community? How do we get people interested and talking about it? So pulling, different pieces from social posts, as well as thinking about, how can we get conversations started? How can we get people buzzing and thinking and communicating about our main point here? So this is this strategy piece here. Let's look at what this looks like in practice. So here's an example of a content plan that we put together for one of our clients. They do compliance. So if you look at the top, channel partners, enterprise, small, medium business, this is the persona. Who are we speaking to? And then the period of time, January through March. And then in the red bar across the top here, you can see the cost of noncompliance is great. How do I avoid crippling fines, damaged reputations, and barriers to growth? So it's really setting out, what pain are they trying to address? And then from there, you can, if you look at each of the columns, you can see a targeted set of 5 keywords. And then if you go from left to right, you're looking at content. So this is the full funnel. So a white paper, an ebook, a low risk offer, which we call a quiz, middle of the funnel, and then direct business offer or bottom of the funnel, and a chance to reach out and connect with the company itself. And you'll notice that all the bolded words, those are keywords. We do that just to make sure that we're obviously reflecting keywords, but also keeping everything front and center and making sure that our alignment continues. So the next column is blogs, and those are just topics that we pull out related to that. You'll see everything is building and really speaking to this idea of the cost of non-compliance. And then emails as well continues to build, and then social media at the end. And those are the pieces we had talked about just a moment ago. And those are how do we get conversations started, and the idea that you would post it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, depending on the channels for your client, and really get people to start engaging, thinking, and talking about the subject that you're concentrating on for that month. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Jason now. He's going to talk about how you actually gather all of your info.
Okay, so after looking at that last slide and looking at the hub and spoke model, you're probably wondering, how do I pull all of this together and actually execute it? So we're going to run through a content strategy for a security system design and integration firm. And this is a client who, they supply security systems for large buildings like hotels, hospitals, nursing facilities, schools, commercial businesses, residential apartment complexes, and warehouses. But before we start developing content for this client and diving into the hub and spoke, we need to do some research. We need to gather our personas. We need to learn about their pains. We need to put together our keyword research, look at social media trends that might be useful in our content creation process, and then also look at potential influencers who we might cite in our content and who could potentially be interested in amplifying that content through social media and also on their own website. So before you're able to dig into this content strategy, we have to gather our first input, and that first input is your persona. So if you're familiar with inbound marketing, doing persona research, it forms the basis for your engagement. Developing personas helps to create a stronger message behind your content. It helps define where these messages should appear, and it helps to discover personas, your target audience, their objections to maybe your products, services, or your brand. Defining personas also helps to uncover what potential problems these prospective customers currently experience, what challenges they face every day, and how to really position your content as the solution to some of these problems. So for our security company here, we have two personas, two of a few. We have Larry, he's the director of facilities. He's a male-dominated role. He has a solid relationship with our client. And we have our IT director here. He is also male. He's tech savvy. He's concerned with data security and how the network or how the security system is going to fit into their overall network to preserve the security of their information. So now we have to take a look at our persona pains. By understanding the pains of our personas, we're understanding the ways in which, again, our clients' products and services are positioned to help solve these pains. Most importantly, during content creation, understanding your personas and their pain points enables you to communicate with them in their own language and their own terms. So some pains here we have: I need a security solution that gives me insight into my entire organization for better control and management. I need a security system to promote safety while preventing accidents and giving a clear picture of my organization's liability. The last pain here, we need a strategic security partner. I need help designing a functional and cost-effective security system for my organization. So these are people who aren't just looking for someone to come in and install a security system. They're looking for a long-term strategic partner who offers them much more than a product. So here we have our keyword research process, and while we won't go into exactly how we find these keywords, although there's a Google Keyword Planner, there's the predictive search when you're looking for terms, and there's also similarly searched for terms at the bottom of Google search. The foundational keywords, these are keywords that reflect a business's products, their services, and these are things that you might include in website copy. These are things that would lead a consumer directly to your website if they were interested in your products or services immediately. But of course, that's not always the case. So we have top of the funnel keywords, and these are broader terms that are reflections of the industry at large and their pains. So we have building security challenges, building security policy. Some good questions to ask when you're doing your keyword research is, what phrases are your target personas using when they're conducting their research? What phrases are they using specifically when they're ready to speak to a company representative, or better yet, when they're ready to buy? These terms, they form the basis for your entire engagement. And it's extremely beneficial to segment these keywords by content offer in order to help steer your consumers along a conversion path. Because these long-tail keywords, like building security risk assessment, convert better, it's good to structure the content offer landing pages around long-tail keywords, since the goal here is to convert get potential site visitors to download offers and learn more. These bottom of the funnel keywords, they're used by consumers where they might be curious as to what a potential provider might do for them or how that provider might help solve a key pain, say, for example, assessing the quality of their building's security. So social media trends. This is also good to do in the research phase because it gives you insight into where your audience is spending some of its time, into how similar content is trending on social media, who is sharing this content, and where your audience is spending most of its time on social media. So I took integrated security into BuzzSumo and searched for top content I wanted to search within the last 6 months, and you can see there are some Facebook shares, LinkedIn shares, and in some cases, in one of these content articles, which I'll show you on the next slide, there have been more shares on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the better channel for some of these articles. So some of these articles here, the art of upselling integrated security solutions. We have securing an integrated security system. You can see how these terms or these articles are performing on social media, but also looking here gives you insight into other long tail keywords. Now, the bolded words here are the phrase that I put in, but if you look at the last article here, you might be able to pull out some longer tail phrases like advantages of an integrated security system and use that in your content plan. And here, as we're doing our research and we're seeing how these topics are talked about online, how they're trending online, we're also pulling out sources where we might be able to cite in our content when we develop that content. So I have security sales and integration, a possible source for content, and a potential influencer. If I then choose to cite information as I'm developing content, I might structure social media posts directed at security sales and integration. Say, you know, hey, check out this article, and put it on the influencer. It's about their content. And then maybe they'll like the tweet, they'll retweet our post and then share it with their online community, and then giving our client and our content a little bit more visibility. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Katheryn, and she's going to talk about harnessing all of these inputs into an actual content strategy plan.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, so we've set the stage for you. We've talked about, you know, here's the strategy, here's the overall goals in mind. Jason has done a really great job in walking us through, okay, this is what you need to have prepared to have all of your key inputs for the process. Now you've thought about the big picture here, and you've gathered all of your inputs. So let's talk about how you actually put everything together. So I'm going to share with you, and this will be a kind of a part of the information that we'll send out as well after the webinar. This is what we use to really, this is our internal document. This is how we structure all of our internal content strategy here at the agency. The big thing that we do, and it's just a pretty straightforward process, so you want to sit down with kind of the key stakeholders. If you're an agency, this could be your client services representative, content director, the writer. If you're working on this for your company and you're doing inbound marketing for a company, there's key stakeholders that you work with in the marketing department or the business itself. You want to just have a few people. You don't want to have too many. You just want a few key people who understand the process. So we've got our document here. You want to set forward a period of time. Are you going to work on this for 3 months, 1 month, 6 months? Like I said, we recommend starting with just 3 months. It's enough time to really dig into a topic. If you blog once a week, that's 12 blogs. And it's just a chance to dig in and really think about things, but not repeat yourself. So I want to make sure we have that, okay? All right, so you set your period of time, and then you want to start choosing your pain, all right? Think about what are the most important pains that we're really focused on. You know, what do we need to address? What is the one pain that if we could really answer it for our prospects would make a difference for our business? So once you set that in place, you can really move forward. So here you can see this is a security design firm, and this is the same company that we've been talking about for all the prep work, okay? So the pain point or the question, and you always want to make sure you're speaking in the persona's voice. So we need a strategic security partner. I need help designing a functional and cost-effective security system for my organization. So that's the pain you want to focus on. Then you want to start looking at your keywords. And Jason mentioned this. What you want to do, you've got your foundational keywords. This is the next layer above that. So you're focused on finding a partner. What are the challenges? You're speaking to someone in facilities management. So you look at this, you've got two options here. You can see trying to pull your keywords, looking at, of course, monthly search volume, difficulty, and ranking. That's always important. But you want to start pulling down a list. All right, so you've got your keywords. That's the building block number one. Building block number two is starting to think about your offers. So you might, you have to really know your client, yourself, or your agency. You need to know, what can I really deliver? It's really tempting to be like, oh, it would be amazing if we could do 6 white papers. Be realistic about what you can create. It's important that you create really good content instead of a lot of content. If we think back to what we started, better content, not more content. So think about what you can reasonably deliver. In this case, just for a simple example, we've got a white paper, a webinar, and a consultation. You can see no risk, low risk, and DBO. So once you have that in mind, you know what you need to create. So you're going to do a white paper. That's the first item here. And so you want to think about weaving in your keywords, but also thinking, how can we answer these key questions? So the 9 biggest building security challenges threatening your people's safety. It speaks to the, the needs of the facilities manager. He or she is tasked with, protecting people in an office building or a residential apartment. So that's something, 9 threats is always good, kind of a number that's, 5 or 10 are kind of expected. 9 is a nice kind of fresh number. And, everybody's kind of out there thinking, okay, what are the threats? What are the, it's always the thing that you're not worrying about that really comes in and disrupts you. So this is a good way to really put together a piece of content. Gives you a lot of opportunities for blogs. You could write 9 blogs from this if you wanted to. You could, pull each of the challenges out and talk about that. Secondly, webinars. So this is a nice way to kind of continue people, educating people and moving them through the funnel. In this case, expect the unexpected, refine your building security policy for any incident. It's all about, speaking to that fear, am I prepared for anything? As we all know, the thing that you never worry about happens and it really throws you off. So this is kind of speaking to that fear and that pain point for them. And then finally, a consultation or direct business offer. Consult with a specialist and receive your free building vulnerability assessment checklist. This is hopefully you've educated, you've nurtured them through the whole sales, and they're ready to talk to you. And this is really a chance to connect with them. And they also get kind of the added benefit of, hey, there's a checklist, so give us 30 minutes, and there's an added value that they're going to walk away with, a checklist of things that they can actually use to improve their day-to-day work. Okay, so we've structured our long-form content. We've thought about, all the pieces for the funnel. Now we want to think about blogs, okay? So from that white paper, we're going to pull some what we call curated blogs, and that just simply means pulling information from the white paper, adding a short intro and conclusion, and then obviously the CTA is always, to learn more about this topic, download the entire ebook or the entire white paper. So in addition to that, we have some standalone blogs. And this is where I was talking earlier about you have an opportunity, to really dig deep, think about, some additional topics. You're talking about security systems. There's a lot there. It's I need to find a partner. It's about the right tools. It's process. It's strategy as well. So really, when you're working on this, challenge yourself. Don't think, oh, I've got this one topic and it's going to be so limiting. No, it's really about talking about that and really looking at all the different kind of pieces around that, stretching yourself, thinking about, okay, how is this related? If I'm a facilities manager at residential as opposed to an office building, what are some other things? And when I think you really challenge yourself just a little bit, you're going to find that you can come up with some really good topics, and you make sure, like I said, always to be integrating those keywords as well.
And a good thing about, doing the research at the front end and understanding, looking at the things that your target personas might be reading, you get a broader idea of some other keywords that you can incorporate in other topics to kind of help you refine your content offers and your blog topics. I mean, the keywords are there for guidance, and you can always add more as you're developing and doing your research to kind of really expand your content offering to align with other concerns and your persona's pains.
Okay, and I'm going to turn this over to Jason to talk a little bit about considering source information, but this really ties into the pieces he was talking about earlier with influencers.
Yeah, so this is a quote directly from the piece that I found in the beginning of my research, and it really helped me to develop this topic. And I also pulled out some good information, or a good quote that I thought I could source in the article. And then I would maybe, in the blog promotion, I could tweet out at the person who wrote the article and say, hey, you know, we included you in our latest integrated security systems article, you know, check it out. And with any luck, they're going to be interested in our content. They're going to go to our website, read our content. They might read some other blog articles, and they might say, you know, this is good stuff. Our audience is interested in this information too. And the goal here is we probably share the same target audience here. So our target audience is their target audience, and through them we can gain more eyes, more potential site visitors. So it's always important to consider your source information. No matter what you're writing, whether you're curating blogs, you're doing content offers, pull things in from the sources that you've compiled in the beginning of your research and that you've gathered through BuzzSumo or that you just found on Google. I mean, Google, just using the search engine itself is a good way to see how other people are talking about the content that you're getting ready to create yourself.
Okay, so let's look back at creating our emails and our social media posts. So with that in mind, you're already kind of starting to naturally optimize all of your content for influencers. You're already referencing them. You're already giving yourself the ability to go out and tweet and start relationship building. So we want to continue this kind of thought process on. So next, emails, you know, it depends on how often you're doing this, but, you know, another opportunity to get your content in front of them, to optimize it. Just same kind of theory. You want to make sure that you're optimizing with keywords and that you're speaking to your main pain point for that month. And then finally, social media posts. So in addition to the relationship building piece, we also wanted to think about just building a community, building engagement, getting people on your site, having them show up and talk about a different topic. So it could be something as simple as, you know, asking them, what's the most difficult part of your building secure and why? What advantages have you seen after integrating your security systems? The trick here, I think, for this type of social media post is, you know, you want to ask a question that people are going to kind of really clearly click in on, have a point of view, and answer. You want to be careful that you don't ask a really complicated question, because even if it's a great question, you're like, oh, that's a great question, I've got to think about it, I'll come back. And we all know we get busy, we move on, and it really, you know, that kind of difficult question, while valuable, doesn't speak to your main goal here, which is to increase engagement. All right.
So this is your the influencer outreach piece here. It's gaining visibility for your client, gaining visibility for all of your hard work, all of the content that you've created. And here I'm going to share a couple examples from our building security system client and some of the outreach examples. So here in my initial stage, I gathered a few sources, a few potential influencers, a few articles, and I've been reading them in order to develop my content strategy, and I've also developed a few social media posts around them. And this is a mix of both. So it's an engaging question for our audience, and it's a, hey, go to this source and read their content. Go to this source over here, check this out. Not always about us, not, hey, come to our website, see what we're doing. This person over here is writing great content too. Why don't you go over there and check out what they have to say? So a few examples here. What's technology's role in the future of access control? Read at SDM Magazine's article by SAI Online's Katheryn Hodgson. And there's a Google shortener link, or you use Bitly or one of those other shortener tools out there. What do you consider an emergency? What do you do when one occurs? And these are all to our target audience, but it's pointing them in the direction to go to this other source here. And what are we really after here? I mean, we're after building an online community, as Katheryn said, but we're also after getting the attention of these potential influencers. So believe it or not, if you get a favorite or two, as in the case of the social media post down here on the right, I mean, that's a good thing. You're getting in front of these people. They're starting to see who you are. And in the case of this specific client, I mean, they don't have a social media presence. So we have an uphill battle here to create some good content, to create some good dialogue, and hopefully start talking to Robin Hatterley and the security magazine that she writes for, Campus Safety, I'm sorry.
All right, so I hope that was a really helpful educational approach to our content strategy. We want to open it up now. Any questions from the group? We'd be happy to answer anything, struggles that you've had, advice you want to bounce some ideas off of, questions. Anything is really fair game for us. We would love to hear your thoughts.
All right, Katheryn, we have a couple questions coming in. Looks like we're getting a lot of questions about influencers.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to have an influencer? Why do we need them? We're getting lots of questions about that.
Sure. I'll take this one. So what role does an influencer play in my content strategy? As you said, these are people who have an opportunity to amplify your content. I mean, you can't be on your own social media feed every day saying, come to our blog, check out this article. It's pulling more people in, more people with maybe a little bit more online authority. These people are thought leaders, so you're able to piggyback on their authority and get in front of their target audience. And as we said, I mean, we share the same target audience. So these people, they amplify your content, and in the end, maybe with enough luck, with enough relationship building, these people will actually become real brand ambassadors.
Great, thanks, Jason. I've got a question coming in from Kathleen, and she wants to know, how often should we revisit our personas and recreate them? Do we need to do that each time we're creating a piece of content?
Okay, I'll take that question. I think that's a great question. I would look at personas as something that maybe you revisit, you kind of check in on maybe every 6 months or a year. You want to do enough research, and you want to have a broad enough persona that it's not something that's changing so radically. A couple kind of triggers, things that happen within your business, I would say, okay, it's time to look at maybe revisiting personas. If you close down and or open a new market, that's a great time to go in and check and look at the different, personas that you might be speaking to. If you drastically grow and move from looking at small businesses to medium or enterprise level businesses, that may change as well. If you change your sales process, if your product becomes more expensive, if you start to notice that the sales cycle is really changing and we have the decision maker, but influencers are coming on or changing, those are all triggers that you need to really go back and look at your personas. I think if your business is relatively stable, I would say probably every 6 months to a year, it's worth it to go in and fine tune and just update with information that you've gotten from your sales process.
Great, thank you, Katheryn. All right, we've got another question coming in from Mike, and he wants to know, what's the best place to manage all of my content?
Okay, I'll take that question as well. So that's a great question. Here at Square 2 Marketing, we use HubSpot. We found that it's really the best platform for our clients. We use it to manage all of their content or on their website. It's really great, to Jason's point, talking about looking at keywords and, hey, what keyword should I follow? HubSpot is really helpful for us because not only can you track all your keywords, you can have different campaigns, so you can have one for every quarter. It's got suggested keywords as well if you're kind of stuck and you want to build them out. So we've found HubSpot has just been really great for all of our clients.
Awesome. Okay, I've got Joanne asking, what metrics should I look at to understand how my content is performing?
Sure. So, I mean, HubSpot is a good place for that. You can check out what content offers are ranking, for what keywords they're ranking for, the traffic for those landing pages, for those blogs that you're publishing. And you're also able to, you can use Google Analytics too. There's Moz Pro Tools, and there's also a cool Chrome plugin for, a Google Analytics plugin for Chrome that allows you to see where, where people are looking on the page. You're able to see how many people are looking below the fold, above the fold. If you're including internal links, and you're including them in the first paragraph or something like that, and you're noticing that, hey, there's like 17% people clicking into this and going to another blog article. I mean, that might be great, but at the same time, that internal link might be too far up in the body copy. You might want to move that down. So, I mean, what kinds of metrics should you be looking at? I mean, these are the ones that are most important to you, really. And there are tons of tools to go out there to use to find these metrics.
Great. We've got a question coming in from Carly. She wants to know, how long do you typically see content planning taking every 1 to 3 months? 2 hours of a meeting or a week? So could you talk a little about our content planning and the timing you should spend on that?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And the way that we typically approach it is we and this is just content planning. The prep work in terms of determining your personas and pain points, this is a separate meeting, but the way we approach it is once we have all those inputs like Jason talked about, we have a meeting. It's typically an hour long, and during that meeting, we as a group, and typically it's the writer, myself, the strategist and consultant, basically the 2 client services representatives, and then the 2 content representatives, sit down and select the person we want to focus on, pain points, and then it's handed off to the writer. So an hour for that meeting, and that's kind of the strategic, going through making sure that we've got it clear and what we want to pursue, and then the actual hands-on, doing the keyword research, coming up with the offer titles. That's probably another additional 2 hours or so. Some clients, if they're very technical or very complex, obviously that goes up. Usually as we get further into an engagement and we've got a couple quarters under our belt, we're much more comfortable, and there's a little bit of time savings there. But I would say, if you're going to do this, a quarter's worth of content, I would say, an hour for your stakeholder meeting, and then 2 to 3 hours with another potential hour for revisions after you talk to your stakeholders again.
All right, thank you. We've got another question coming in. What are some tactics on how to get to know your personas or research on personas? So what's a good starting point so that we can start our persona research?
Great question. So in terms of getting to know your personas, we start that process by talking to the clients that we work with, and really we find them, a lot of the really valuable information comes from their sales staff because they're obviously hands-on and spend the most time with the prospects. And we really kind of dig in, I think it's important to think about, are they male or female, the age, but we really like to dig in and talk about, when you're talking to them in the sales process, what's driving them, what pains are they trying to solve. We do a lot of work around pains and solutions as well. Those 2 processes are kind of tied very closely together. And then, you can additionally, if you want to do additional research, talk to, the person you're working with, either yourself if it's a client or if you're working for just a company, and say, can you give me some people to talk to, both successful deals that we've closed and some people who've fallen out of the sales process, and talk to them, what were you trying to answer? How did we answer that successfully? And for the ones who fell out of the process, what were you looking for that you didn't get, or was there a better solution? If you can get that kind of access, it's tremendously helpful. And, it doesn't have to be a long conversation with your personas. It can be just, 20 or 30 minutes, but really that's where the gold mine is.
Awesome. Thank you. We have time for one more question. It's coming in from Dave, and he wants to know, what are the best tools to use? I heard you say BuzzSumo. What is that?
So BuzzSumo, it's a free tool depending on how much content you're looking for, and it's also a paid tool that gives you a little bit more in-depth research. It allows you to search trending topics on social media by a keyword or by topic or by potential influencers. So say you find one influencer who writes for Security, Sales, and Integration magazine, but you want to see, you want to be a stalker. Maybe they're a contributor. Where else are they publishing? So you can do that through Google, but BuzzSumo also gives you the ability to search the entire online landscape for where this person is publishing and how their posts do. A couple other good tools, and something that we didn't really cover, but I feel like we have a little bit of time to bring it in, is when you're doing your research around your client, it's also important to consider competitors. So as you're doing competitive research, your competitive research is around keywords, and it's also around, where else other where else they're publishing their content online and who might be amplifying that. And a good tool to do that is in Moz Pro. It's called Open Site Explorer. You can put in the domains of your competitors and you can see where they're getting links from. And then that way you can also pull in potential influencers for your own campaign and also articles to cite in your own content.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for answering all the questions that came in. I just want to thank Katheryn and Jason again for presenting all of their great ideas and giving you a look into Square 2 marketing and what we do around here. Today we'd like to offer all of you that have joined the webinar today a special 30-minute content audit. If you want to talk to one of our strategists about your content marketing challenges, if you want to start creating personas or go through and take a look at where you're at and what changes you can make, feel free to reach out to us. After this webinar, we'll shoot you an email with a recording of the webinar.